Are you
FOIL ethics policy, ethics policy.
Yes. Okay, we'll open the meeting at 7:02. We're a little bit late because, as you can see, we all have a time okay for Let's Go, and that is our transition night. The first thing we have is public participation. The Edwards Knox Service Employees Associations are here to discuss a board level grievance. So that's going to be done in executive session. So can I have a motion to?
Is it, Jack, are you talking about specific people?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I can hear it.
No, we never have gone into executive session.
We did one time.
Okay, to continue?
Sure. Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, give a go around
Yeah,
and
I'm
give
doing
cake.
them all.
You're heading that
Do your
way.
share.
Basically, that's all stuff.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
Okay, what we have here, this is the third level of grievance, and I will read what I've got here. It says November 15, 2011, the association became aware that Sherry Manager and Richard Consider
I
were
asked you
charged.
if you were going to talk about specific people, you said no.
Okay, I'll leave that part right there. Okay. But anyway, we noticed that certain employees were charged more than one sick day per day. And in Article 4, subsection 6 of the collective bargaining agreement, it says a bus driver assigned to pre-K and or any overseas extra driving runs may apply no more than 20 accrued paid sick leave days per school year to the aforementioned extra runs. Drivers must notify the transportation supervisor either prior to their time off from work or immediately following their return to work of their intention to use their days. If a driver fails to notify the transportation supervisor as indicated, the time will not be compensated. If a driver chooses not to use their days, there will be no going back at a later time to claim them. To my knowledge, for a very long time, this has been interpreted correctly and in the spirit in which it was negotiated. It has been interpreted to mean that 26 days per year could be used to get full pay when the driver was supposed to perform pre-K or BOCES runs. Prior to this incident, drivers were not required to use more than one sick day to be compensated for the pre-K and BOCES runs. They would get full pay and be charged one sick day, but could only use their sick days this way for 20 times per year. The district is well aware of how this has been treated previously, as Mrs. Kelly admitted in her response that the contract language has been interpreted as to only charge the driver one sick day when performing the extra run. The district is now claiming that the way this contract language has been interpreted in the past is an illegal use of public funds. The district is admitting that they have been interpreting the language the way the association claims it should be interpreted, but can no longer do it. The association has told the district that if they can provide proof that the practice is illegal, then they would drop this grievance. Contract language does not trump the law. The district, however, has not provided the association with any proof that the practice is illegal. The association negotiated with the district to come up with this contract language. The language has been interpreted the way the association expected the language to be interpreted when they negotiated. The district cannot simply ignore your practice and change the intent of the contract without negotiating. Unless the district can show that the interpretation of Article 4 is illegal or sustains their grievance and reinstates a sick day charge against the association members affected by the grievance, the association will be forced to pursue arbitration to resolve this issue. There is a clear practice here regarding the interpretation of the aforementioned contract language, and we feel that an arbitrator will rule in our favor. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. I guess the next thing that we do is get with our legal and they'll advise us. Is, Jackie? Or Johnson?
We told them to pass, if they expect to give it to people.
Okay. Mr. Burke, can you please send me the book for the people that signed in? Thanks. Matt Van Rockland signed up to talk about goals and objectives. So your 5 minutes, you're on.
Good afternoon. It was my understanding that through Circula's contract, that she was to submit to the Board of Education hers and the principal's goals and objectives for the school year, and that the board was to review that. And would that be made public? Would that be open to the district?
Well, I can tell you that she, that is in her contract, and she is waiting for the board, she's waiting for us to do our goals, so that she can.
So I gave you principal's goals too. What I said was it made it very difficult when we didn't have goals from the board, the new board members.
Right.
But our goals were turned in.
So,
Right.
and you guys have reviewed those? The Board of Education has reviewed her proposed goals and objectives for the superintendent principals?
We had a meeting on December 19th just for the purpose of working on goals, and
And reviewed?
I was not here for that meeting.
Was it done? Did anybody on the board answer?
We started the review process.
You started it?
Yeah,
Will it be made public?
I don't
sure.
know.
As soon as they're, yep, as soon as we've reviewed them and gone over them, we just scratched the surface a little bit at our meeting. I'm sorry to say, I was the overseer of that meeting, and we didn't quite get as much accomplished as we had hoped.
There was a lot of input.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot, and we were here till after 9:30, and we're still working on them. You know, because we're talking about philosophy statement, the mission statement, and the goals. So we're trying to put all three of those in categories that we feel are appropriate. And as I said, we worked on it, and we still have ways to go.
Sure. Well, thank you for that answer. I know you guys are busy, but have you even begun talking about the budget negotiations?
Tonight will be our first section. We do it in sections, and tonight will be our first section, which you guys will all be here for.
Oh, yeah, we hope to be here. But last year, when this was all going on, and we were having our discussions, we were asked where we were. You know, this all started in November. But this hasn't started in November. And it didn't last time either, here at the board minutes. And I would like to make clear to the board that the district expects a clear and itemized budget. We need to understand where the money goes. If that's not accomplished, if you give us a 5x8 card with an outline, I really don't think it's going to get passed. I think we're going to have a tendency again. The district needs to understand the budget. It needs to understand where the money's going. And to start, I think you're going to finish it in a day or two. and just push this through the district, I think you're sad in the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacia?
I know you guys are going to start working on the budget, so we kind of tried to help get suggestions for you from the district on what people would, with how they feel that could be beneficial to you all. So I'm going to give you those suggestions. I'm also going to give you an article from the Watertown Daily Times, which was a very good article on a huge cost savings, and that is insurance. Health insurance is big money. It can be downsized, so I included that. Also, I know you're going to be meeting with Clifton Fine I believe it's the 14th of January. I just had a question as to whether any research has been done into the benefits of a merger, the cost that would cost the district to merge, or the effects of a merger.
Well, because we haven't had that meeting yet, I don't believe we can really get into the specifics of what
Okay.
they want to merge with. That will probably come after.
Okay, well, I'm just going to hand you these packets, and like I said, I included in it the suggestions from the district that as I get them, I will get them to you all. Also included in here is some research.
You want help too?
Yes, please.
You can't show partiality.
Okay. And the survey, I think you'll find very thorough. It tells what happens after a merger, and as you all know, we've already been through a merger once, and obviously it hasn't worked out too great for us. We're kind of struggling here. So this survey
Which
goes
merger are you
into,
talking about?
it goes into that. I'm talking about the Edwards and Knox when they merge.
How is that not done well?
Well, we're struggling here right now, and if we're thinking about merging with another school and we're struggling, granted, in the beginning, we're gonna get some money, and then we're gonna be all on our own again. So I'm just giving you the survey that I found. It's great research. Take the time to read it before you have discussions. It'll give you a foot in the door. Thank you.
Will John just come in when he gets here?
I would assume so.
Do we have any board member issues? There are no board member issues?
Did we want to bring up that meeting that you had with
We
Judy?
didn't have it yet. I called to set it up, that's what I had said to you. And they have not called back with a date.
You met with Judy, but
I met with Judy, yes.
do you want to discuss that now?
Sure. Judy had come to see me after, and I'm not sure if she was at a fire hall meeting, is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. And she was asked by the group there why they don't, and correct me, Chris, because you know more of the technology of some of this, why, when there's a responder call, does 911 only be called to Russell, not Russell and Edwards? And obviously that's been an issue for years. That goes back and forth. The district doesn't choose who gets the responder call, but one of the things that was noticed that in the insurance, that if Edwards were to sit down with the fire company and agree to have both companies called at the same time, we could save about $1,400 a year. There have been meetings in past years asking to allow that to happen. It's not our choice, it's assigned by 911. So Judy and I met, after she met with the fire company, I called Iris and Barbie, because those are the two people I have to meet with, to set up a meeting this week. And I called them again this evening to get a date, have not gotten a date. But basically, they're going to have to agree and sign a waiver. The difference is because Edwards Fire Hall is within a 5-mile radius, so it's a protection plan, whereas Russell, I think, is actually like 7.1 or something. So if they would be willing to sign that, then we would save about, like I said, about $1,400 a year. So that's what we're hoping to be able to talk to them about. pretty much.
That's it? You got it?
Are there any other board members?
I've got a question. I know that I apologize, I wasn't here for the last meeting, which was one of my ideas, so I apologize for making it. I'm pretty ill. But have we made any schedules to continue those discussions? I think it's important that we establish those because it is really a lot of,
I think we need to set a date.
Right.
so we can finalize and get those out there.
Could we entertain the idea of having a special meeting versus having a, do it at board meetings? Because with the agenda we've got tonight, we wouldn't put much effort into it.
Right, and that's been the problem.
And we did pretty good the other night when we didn't have anything else pending.
Right.
So, just a suggestion.
We'll just have to schedule another meeting, see how far we get, and then schedule another, so how many of our cases get done. We have John Daniels here with us tonight, who's going to discuss concept of an electric waste heat generator. You can make yourself comfortable, John, and
He's right in here.
We'll have to do the electric first.
Okay.
John
Hi.
had spoken to me, I'll just real quick give an introduction, had spoken to me a while ago about trying to do something with the biomass in order to be able to make electricity from excess energy. So he kind of looked into it, and then one of the companies that we were looking at was abroad, and they couldn't come to the US. But he has done more research. I spoke to Patty Ritchie about it. She kind of jumped on it much quicker than I had anticipated. So I have John here to kind of explain this process to the board tonight.
Hello, everybody. I would like to use the capacity of the biomass to our best advantage and try to make some power with it. Traditionally, what you do to make power is you make steam, you run steam through a turbine, spin a generator, you make power with it. That's what I was very familiar with in the fall. That's what we did. It's the common way to do it. Here, when we started looking at the biomass, it wasn't feasible for us to go with steam because you get the high pressure steam, you have to have an operator there 24/7. It's much more dangerous. There's a lot of things we didn't have the size or the scale to really do it feasibly. So when I started hearing about these generators, like I say, we researched one that came from overseas and they didn't have the right UL listings and whatever to come over here. So I just started searching. I said, we've got to make one somewhere. We've got to be able to make one. And this company popped up, and it's fuel-free, emissions-free. It's all self-contained. You put in hot water, it comes back out a little bit cooler, and everything else is done internally. Nothing else comes out of it. Nothing else is put into it. It works on an organic Rankine cycle, which I had never heard of, I admit, before, and I did some research on that, and apparently it's been around a long time, but they haven't had the working fluid to make it feasible. The working fluids that they had were very explosive, very dangerous. It didn't turn out well when you had a leak, so they weren't very popular. They have developed this new fluid. It's an R45FA. It doesn't really mean much to me. I just know it's a refrigerant. And it's a newly developed refrigerant that expands very rapidly when heated at a relatively low temperature. They run that through a twin screw turbine, which I think we had the twin screw compressors at Newton Falls. They're very efficient. This is like that in reverse. You run through it, turns the generator. So they're very dependable. We have very little trouble with them up there. What else can I tell you about it? It's this one here, this paper that I have, I think that you guys got, it says 30 to 50 kW. They have upgraded it, and now it's up to 65 kW, which at most times is over half our power usage. We can peak out at like 210 kW. That's peak loads. Standard running loads are usually 120 to 150 kW. Our power bill here, as you can see by what we budgeted, isn't cheap. About $175,000 a year we pay for power. If we could cut that in half, you know, that's a significant savings, obviously. What's more interesting is if we continue to run our biomass into the summer months, when we really don't need the heat for the school, but we could generate electricity, we could theoretically, because all this stuff is just theoretic right now, we could sell power back, we could net meter back to Niagara Mohawk or National Grid, and that's where you make the real money. That's where the real savings come in, if we could sell back to them. And they are required to buy it from us. If we can make it, they're required to buy it from us because we're using a renewable resource. We're considered a small generator, so they are required to buy it if we could do that. It just sounds very interesting to me. This company's won several awards. They've been visited by the president to their company and the whole deal. Like I say, some more investigation definitely needs to be done. I'm waiting for one of the engineers from this company to get back to me, but I did talk with him a little bit through email, and he said it looks initially, on first glance, to be a perfect fit for their generator. So, anyway, I'm kind of excited about it. It would be really nice if we could do this, and even nicer if we could get enough grants and stuff to pay for it. Which we still do have Excel money left, and with our state aid, we could do it like we did the biomass project without grants. It'd still be no cost to the taxpayers. So anyway, it's just an interesting concept, and one that I hope works out.
Any idea the initial investment would be on something like this?
Initial investment for the generator to install, his best guess, again, just a guess, about $350,000. So he's thinking payback a couple of years. You know, even if we laid out all the money ourselves, if we did it like we did the biomass project, the moment we started that biomass, we were making money because the school has no local investment in it.
Would there be considerable construction, or will it pretty much?
This is about a 6-foot square footprint.
Wow.
I believe there's room within the biomass building, but if not, very small addition. Very small addition.
The reason that,
How much juice do you use for the buildings during the summer or so?
During the summer, our load is very low, about 30 kW. With all the heater motors and all the light, you know, we're using very few lights. Everything is pretty much shut down. We could sell back quite a bit of power.
Some of the biomass or some typically good.
We do not, because we have no need to.
I mean, we haven't done a cost analysis of the cost of the food chips versus money we get from selling electricity.
Right. That's what needs to be done. All that stuff still needs to be done.
You mentioned in your memo, Ms. Kelly, about Senator Ritchie contacting New York State Power Authority for possible funding. Is there anything more about that, or is there any?
well, what happened was she was down in Edwards, and I was talking to her about a few things, and I said, let me ask you something different, because everybody's asking the same thing for all the districts. And I said, this is just an idea. If you ever hear of anybody interested locally of forming a merger. And she said, that's really ironic, because she had just met with NIAP. And they're very interested in looking into these type of projects, but so is Canton College. And obviously, working with their students, they were trying to find a project, something, you know, along the lines local that they can get involved with, and also possibly help support financially. So that's where we said, well, we better at least start talking more open and bring it, because we were just talking generally. I never expected Patty to jump that quickly within a day, and I got a call. So he did email me today. I have a couple times I asked him to call John and I tomorrow or Thursday.
During your regards to the architect record here, have we talked to them at all about this, or?
Not yet.
It happened a lot faster than we ever thought it would.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'm not sure they would be the best
No, definitely not.
best ones for this anyway.
No, I think it'd be-
Yeah.
John, could you run the biomass longer in a year? If you were making juice, could you run it longer by turning them towards more producing electricity?
Yeah, at the very, even if we didn't, the summer thing didn't prove to be feasible, it would at least allow us to run sooner in the fall and later in the spring, at the very least, if it didn't prove to be feasible to run in the summer.
How much potential BTU capacity do you have in the biomass? Is it like 40%, 35%?
Yeah, today, you don't really get too many colder days than today, actually, for daytime loads. And I checked it, I don't know how many times I checked it, and 35 to 40% load that was running. So I'm making about 2 million BTUs, 5.5 million BTU capacity. So about at that load, it's, 1.8, maybe 2 million BTUs. So we've got an extra 3 million. They're just kind of kicking around. And
But that's not, I mean, you're not feeding the biomass to generate that, and it's just going out to seed.
Right.
So
right.
You would have to feed it to generate.
I would have to, in order for full capacity, I'd have to feed it. But even without feeding it any extra, we put out our water, right now I put out the water at 185 degrees. I could raise that up to 210 for very little extra wood chips, raise that level up to 210, run it through the bio, run it through the generator. It would come out the other end, add about 180, 185, bring it down here, virtually free. And still heat the school and for the same deal. And then also, the other thing to look at that would make it really feasible or really economical would be to find out some way, because as the fluid, you heat that fluid, then you have to recondense it. You have to bring it back down to temperature again so it can be reheated and re-expanded. If we could find some way to use that heat, that rejected heat off that. I know we talked about a greenhouse before. Mike would be thrilled to get a greenhouse, something like that. Maybe the bus garage, maybe heat the bus garage with that waste heat instead of doing it with the hot water the way we do it now.
Do you cool that through a heat exchanger that you reclaim that heat?
There's different ways you can do it. You can do it through just a big radiator, air to water heat exchanger. You can do it through a water to water heat exchanger. If we had a need for a lot of low temperature water, I mean, we heat our pool with it already, so that we really don't need any more low temperature hot water. But there's just, I've been thinking about it, and that the engineer out there said he was brainstorming on it too, to see what possibly we could use this rejected heat for too. It's just very interesting and very green. No extra emissions, nothing, no fuel put into it. It's made to run unmanned, remotely. They use them a lot out in, like where the pipeline comes down through out west. There's remote stations. They have to have pumping stations to re-energize the gas line to get the pressure. They run them off right now, big diesel generators. So they're using several of these now. They take the exhaust off the diesel generator, they run it back through this unit, and then create power so they can cut energy usage in half for these pumping stations. And they're all run remotely. The guy gets on through a phone line, and they're all monitored, started, stopped, everything remotely. So it wouldn't be an extra work item, for manpower use.
Sounds really cool.
It sounds a little too good to be true, so I'm a little bit leery about it, but it's worth investigating.
Yeah.
Are you gonna look into possibly maybe 2 generators, so you use the full?
If
you're producing 65K, you turn it up to 130.
If possible, then again, that would come into the play, like what Randy said, with the wood chip cost, compared to what the electricity, all that has to be done yet.
But if you're gonna think about even running one during summer, you're gonna, minimal use of the biomass is gonna be too much heat for one generator, obviously.
It could very well be, yes. If you look on the second page of this, the condensing load at 50 kW is about 2,155,000. The actual BTU input would be 2,000,003. But so at that 2,000,003 would be about what I'm running now, 40 to 50% load. It's feasible to do. Just where are we going to reject the heat? There's logistics to be worked out.
John, if you use more wood chips, do you think Kern will give you a cheaper rate?
possible.
And he does that with wood pallets.
Yeah, and in fact, Potsdam Paper right now is looking at putting in a wood boiler. And I know one of the guys over there, he said that they have given him a price of $40 a ton. We pay 55. Then again, they're gonna use like 30 times what we do to, you know.
Year round.
Yeah, year round.
If you're buying chips, you can go way up.
Yeah,
On a year.
it would. Right now, we're about 1,000 tons. So, you know, not quite double, but maybe, you know, 1.5, you know, something like that. I'm hoping that other suppliers start coming online too for the chips. You know, I know it's a big investment. You know, those big chippers cost $250,000. Current he's got a lot of resources.
What would be the wear and tear on the biomass? I mean, as far as if you start pumping out 4.5, 5 million BTU instead of 2.
Yeah, you wouldn't, I mean, most of these boilers are made, most any boiler is made to run at about 80% of its maximum load. So at about 4 million is all you'd want to run it consistently. The rest of it is for like just peaking. So about 4 million is all you'd want to run consistently. Which 4 million would make the maximum. 4 million would make the 65 kW. But yeah, there would be, the feeders are running faster, the fans are running faster. You know, there would be some wear and tear for sure.
Start maintenance up 50 or 75,000 a year on the boiler system.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, up to date anyway, our maintenance has been very minimal, very minimal. But things do wear out, you know, things do wear out. Any other questions?
Okay,
If anybody, I was gonna say, comes up with anything technical, feel free to email John so that we can try to find answers and get things. Since I think the more information we can try to get up front helps a lot with everyone. So.
Is there any, I have one, if NIMO is gonna buy some of this power back, have you discussed it with them at what rate they'll buy it back from the school act?
No, way too early for that.
Not that far yet?
But I do know that there are regulations in place that they are required to buy the power from a small renewable resource seller. They don't have to, if we decided to build a big oil-fired generator, plant out there, they wouldn't have to buy our power. Or huge wind turbines, whatever like that, they don't have to buy our power. But for a small renewable energy source, they do.
So while we have John here tonight, John will be presenting the first section of our budget, which is the maintenance, and that's usually we do a section at a time. It'll be the maintenance and then maybe the elementary and high school, so it's broken down into sections before we present the whole budget.
Okay, I guess you all have this sheet. I'd like to see, this is the way I like to do it. I like to see what I did before. And so I run it all the way back to 06. I've got them all the way back to when I started in 98. But we'll just go through it piece by piece. The propane, which we use in our kitchen for cooking. We use in our shops, in our labs. We use it in the summertime. If we're running the pool, we use it in the summertime to heat the pool. We like the ignition on the boilers or propane. That's about what it runs, about $7,500 a year. We came very close last year with that number. I didn't see it on this one, but.
John, are these budget numbers or one-way usage numbers?
These are budget numbers.
Do we have usage numbers for the actual thing that, or do we?
You have the. The actual budget page. It's on a graph.
one that Carol gave me for that particular item, that was before we had the pool heater. Because the last actual expenditure we had is for 09 and 10, and it was 3627. But then again, there's been price increases since then too. So again, that's a budget number there. Equipment, we cut it down last year. We have, you can see in the past, since 07, 06, 07, we've ran about $5,000. We cut it a little bit in 9-10. We cut it again in 11-12, and we kept it there. I buy vacuum cleaners, rug shampooers, just, you know, that kind of stuff with that money. Contractual expense for operations, that was, like I say, it's been $8,000 since 05, 06. I jumped it up a little bit in 8, 9 for a reason that I don't know right now. I don't remember. And then it started going back down again. They've got it down to about 10,000. And that's for some of the stuff that we have to contract, the inspections on bleachers and on the moving doors and elevators and stuff like that that we have to contract out. They don't want us doing it, and we shouldn't be doing it. Fire alarm inspection, that kind of stuff. That's where that goes. Fuel oil. If we had, just a little note down at the bottom, if we had budgeted for fuel oil, I would have had to budget $245,000 for fuel oil. As it was, I budgeted the $70,000 for fuel oil plus 55, which results in $120,000 savings. And that's a conservative savings that's for running the biomass. The $70,000 is probably more fuel oil than we'll use, hopefully more fuel oil than we'll use, but we have to have a cushion if something did happen to the biomass and we had some sort of an outage out there. We can chew up a lot of fuel oil in a week. Fuel oil right now, every truckload that came in, well, Rick knows, about 10,000 bucks. And I can go through a load a week very easily. So you've got to have a little bit of cushion there for possibilities. So that's why the $70,000 for fuel oil and only $55,000 for the fuel that we actually burn, which is very close to what we'll actually burn, 55,000 wood chips, be about 1,000 tons. School this size would burn roughly $250,000 in fuel a litter.
So John said that the fuel oil is a little bit of a cushion, 70,000.
Yeah.
In the event that something happens to the biomass.
Right.
Is that what jumped it up between 10, 11, and 11, 12?
10, 11 was the first year for the biomass. We really didn't know what was gonna. I mean, it was kind of a project year. We really didn't know what was going on. Lucky it ran through the winter. We didn't, the 45,000 covered us. But then Rocky and I talked about it, and he said, "What are you going to do if that goes down? What are you going to do if you have a major failure up there? You blow a tube, whatever. Things can happen." And I said, "Well, that's true. If something happens, we have to have some sort of a cushion, something to fall back on."
Am I reading this right? This is the actual budget, the actual amount.
Second column is this year's budget.
That's this year's budget.
Third column is what I'm projecting. And the fourth column is next year's budget. So this year's 20%, 14. Next year's 12%, 25. It's going up 44,000 to 55,000 wood chips. $70,000 is even for the fuel oil between the 2 years. The wood chips are from the end.
Yeah.
So far, you haven't had a major malfunction of the biomass?
Nope, we've had some small problems here and there, little electrical relays and, just little stuff. But it's nothing, as of date, we haven't had to start our oil boilers. They've called me, I've been right there, I run down, we figure out the problem, that, there's a lot of heat, latent heat in the biomass. After you get it going, it's like your wood stove, like coals and stuff in there. And if you get down and get right after it, and if you can get it fixed within 4 hours, you don't have to start the oil. There's enough heat left over in there, and it relights itself. You just push the button, and it takes off from the coals that are in there, and away you go. Okay, electric. We're at 175,000, which is a very close number. We had it at 190 in 10-11. We didn't quite use it all, so last year with the budget issues, we cut that back closer to the actual amount, which would, what was that? The actual amount? 125. I don't have the other sheet, I have the same sheet you did. 25. So yeah, we did cut it down. Next year, we don't know if it's going to go up or down. Probably up. Again, you got to have a little bit of a cushion.
Let's not go on, talk down about your rates, the effect of any rate increase would be, that discussion with them. To try to get a picture of what.
We have a meeting coming up. We belong to this school municipal electrical cooperative. We have a meeting coming up. I think it's either the end of this month or the beginning of February. And let us know. They'll give us actually the budget.
Because we don't actually buy our power from National Grid.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's some risk to that. But they'll tell you basically what the rates are going to do.
They'll give you an idea. They'll give you a guess.
So we should be able to get pretty close to what our usage is. So we shouldn't have to build a huge cushion. It's pretty conservative. Should be.
And they'll lock in for, what is it? It's 3 months at a time?
3 months.
Actually, they do longer than that.
And every cooperative is a little bit different as far as the guarantee. I know there is some risk. Because of what they pay, they buy it for. It seems like
They don't lock it in 100%, they'll do like 50% locked in, and it's variable.
So I guess, you could run it closer, but you are standing the risk of something, whatever, some unforeseen circumstance happening somewhere and going right out of sight. So
I'm just looking at the numbers that we actually expense $125,000 10-11, and you're looking at $175,000 for the upcoming year. I'm not sure what the comparative electric rate is, but that's 50% cushion. It's a lot of cushion.
This year, I'm expecting to spend 140, so if you increase that, and keep the budget at 175, of course, you're not with that much wiggle room.
And that's why we also started moving the draft.
And then maybe one year red cut. So, once we get that.
I know you have to mercy of National Grid.
Excuse me?
Or not National Grid in this case, but I know you have someone at their mercy. It's a big number, it's a big number in any budget.
it is. That's why this generator would really help us, if we could cut that number in half, it'd be nice. So again, that maybe we can trim that a little bit. It's, that's one area that's kind of an unknown. So maybe we can trim it. Road salt, we just got our truck here a couple years ago. Sandwich, I didn't know how much sand was going to cost. Had $5,000 in the first time. Obviously, it didn't cost us anything. The town of Edwards and the town of Russell, we kind of alternate back and forth and get our salt, and very graciously they give it to us. Well, we paid down from Edwards, but for loan. But it's since the town used to come in and do it for us, which was very nice of them, but with all the liability issues and everything, I guess they just can't do that anymore. The county, I asked them, and they said the same thing, they just can't do it, they can't go out, the road. So we had to get something to sand our own lots. 11, 12, I cut it down to 1,000, didn't use that either. This year I got 100, we'll probably use 20. That there, if we want to cut that right out completely, we probably could. It's not really an issue. Telephone, that's been, as you can see, bounced up and down there a little bit. We got our new telephone system in. And it's a little confusing, the telephone system. There's a lot of incidentals that go along with that, because there's a lot of equipment issues. There's servers all through the school. The telephones are all through the computer now. There's not like your traditional telephone system. So we do pay, I don't know what you want to call it, like insurance on all these servers we have. They're $4,000 and $5,000 a piece. We have 10 or 15 of them, so we do pay like an insurance on these. If something happens and they do go, they'll replace them.
Who's your provider?
Yeah, Denise.
They're Cisco.
It's a Cisco system, but Denise was the provider.
Is regional.
So it's all voice over IP now?
Yes.
We also work through TDS.
And TDS is our T1 line, is TDS. So that's a pretty close number.
Labor's included in that, John? As far
Yes.
as changing out a server or anything to do with that?
They come in and do
It's
it.
part of the maintenance agreement.
Yeah.
So that's been projected at 22, that's what it actually think things are going to come in at for this school year, pretty close.
Because we under budgeted that first year, we didn't take everything into account, so we got under budgeted. So that money had to come from somewhere else, and we'd like to avoid that. Next one, cleaning supplies. Is what it is. It's you know, all the dust mops and just soap and all just everything that goes into cleaning of the school. It hasn't really increased that much since 06, 07. We try to use things as efficiently as we can, but it pretty much costs a certain amount to keep the school clean, and that's about what it is.
You launder your dust mops?
We launder our dust mops, yeah. We launder our own rugs, entry rugs. I did that when my first or second year I was here. They used to send them all out, and it's quite expensive, you know, really. So, you know,
We don't have any contractors over there or any of that stuff?
we've got our own washing machine, we'll wash them. So we do. The girls do that, you know, sometimes on their own time even. They'll, before work starts, they'll be out there folding their dust rags, and they get their dust mops out, and they're very good about it, because it's extra work for them, that they didn't have to do it one time. They're good about it. Co-op purchases, that's our BOCES bid stuff. Anything that we buy off the BOCES bid. Is it our trash service? There's a lot of stuff in there. That's right through BOCES. We get a little different aid on that, correct? If we buy it through BOCES. And that's about what it runs. So we spent 88.54 in 10-11. I mean, we could probably trim another, you know, maybe another 1,000 off that, maybe not. It's the 4-wax goes into that. 4-wax is one of the biggest purchases. That's about $4,000 to $5,000 a year. Maybe a little more than that even for our 4-wax. That's one of the big ones there. Contractual clothing through the union. The custodians and cleaners get 5 shirts a year. They also get their steel-toed boots paid for, and that's about what that runs. Excuse me?
Is that mandate for safety requires the steel-toe shoes?
I don't know if it's mandated, to tell you the truth. I really don't know if it's mandated, but I don't know where it came from. It's a negotiated thing. I mean, I've always had it since before I came. So total, $376,600. We're back, I mean, you have to go back to 05, 06 to really be much lower than that. Last year was a little bit lower, but it was artificially low. We couldn't sustain that because, you know, the telephone wasn't right. There's a couple things that weren't right. So you have to really go back quite a ways in order to get lower than that as far as the budget goes. We can get really close and we can take some chances on some things and maybe trim another $15,000 or $20,000 off that, but we'd be taking the chance, you know, taking the chance. Down in the maintenance, for maintenance equipment, I got $5,000 in. That's for like mower repair parts, tools, plow parts, yeah, just that kind of thing. I guess stuff that goes along with keeping the school up, that, you know, is part of maintenance. The next one, that's just something that I would be remiss if I didn't put it in there. Our mower's 13 years old. That mows about 20 acres, at least once a week, sometimes twice a week in the spring, and it does a lot of mowing. When we bought that mower, we paid right around $18,000 for it. That was 13 years ago. So, again, this is a guess. This is just a projected number. But I'm guessing that a new one today like that is going to be upwards in the $30,000 range. It's a commercial mower. It's diesel, 30 horsepower. It's not like you buy at Walmart. It's made to run and run a lot. And we have to. The grass grows very well. Our fields, we complain about them being wet, but they're green all summer. They're not sand fields. They don't dry out. They grow all summer long.
Would that be off the state bid?
If we get it off the state bid. Again, this is a projected number. Maybe you'll get one for 25. I don't know. Steve had a very interesting one there last year. The ones that he's selling there that looked interesting, they were quite a bit less than that. But I wanted to put in enough to say, you know, just maybe, you know. And again, if it comes down to somebody's job, we'll run the other one until it quits.
And it was in the budget last year, we did take it out.
Yeah. But I'd say, again, I just feel remiss if I didn't put it in, and it did break down, and somebody said, well, geez, how come you didn't tell me we needed a mower? Well,
Turn more down.
yeah.
And this is a kind of replacement estimate.
Yeah.
Randy, what's your first question?
It was John Deere, I thought it was. Have you looked at, I mean, I know it's old.
Yeah.
But can we look at really maintenance costs with that, if it makes sense to put some money into that more?
Again, you know, we could get a new deck for a deck to that mower, probably about $5,000. If the motor goes in it, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 for a motor. I mean, you can keep that equipment running indefinitely, and that's why I say, if we don't do this, then that's fine. But I'm just kind of getting it out there that our mower is getting old. You know, it's done a lot of mowing and nearing its useful life.
Are you having any issues with it currently, Jim?
Yeah, we put 2 spindles in it last year. We broke a motor mount last year. This is kind of fatigue items that you don't normally expect, but motor mount broke last year. deck is getting pretty thin, getting rusty from thin. It's probably, I mean, it'll run till it doesn't. I don't know how to really, you know, if I could predict when it was going to really fail catastrophically, I probably wouldn't be here if you were for that. But I just wanted to let you know that it is getting old. Okay, next one, building repair. We increased that several years ago, because our building again is coming on 25 years old, and there's things that are starting to fail that you know haven't in the past. Trying to come up with some examples. We've had to do here recently. I'm drawing a blank right now, but our like our, for example, our street lights. We do have to replace ballast in them quite often now. For the first 5 years I was here, I never changed the ballast in one of our lights. Now they're starting to go. So I got to replace those. That's really kind of a minor item, but hot water heaters, you know, just big building stuff that normally you wouldn't think of, but as the building ages, it does need replacement.
How much usage do you get out of like the air exchange motors and stuff like that? Is that something you change at a certain hourly on? Or
Like these unit vent motors?
Yeah, the ones up in the ceiling, you know, that change the air in the building.
Exhaust fans?
Yeah.
Well, those in these here, the last few years I've probably changed maybe 6 or 7 of those per winter. We have about 135 small electric motors throughout the school for whatever, you know, mainly air moving reasons. And I changed probably 6 or 7 of those a year the last 3 or 4 years. Clocks. We're having a lot of clock failures. Again, that must be the life expectancy of them is about 20 years, because I've been doing a lot of those lately. The clock motors are failing. 60, 70 bucks a piece. So I changed the motor and the movement in them. Instead of $140, they want to sell you the whole clock. Well, there's nothing wrong with the face. It's just the motor movement. That kind of stuff. Sewer pumping, $5,500. Seems like a lot. We do it every year. We've got 3 10,000 gallon tanks. We have 30,000 gallons of sewage that they pump out every year. We could try skipping a year, but I would really hate for that to plug up. And you know, if we sent raw sewage to our leach field, we'd be in the millions of dollars in a hurry if we ruled our leach field. So anyway, I think that's money well spent, preventive money well spent. Snow removal, I used to budget $1,000 a year for the, Tom Jones used to do it for me once in a while if our plow broke down. Then somebody would help us out and plow the parking lot. Now we have the Suburban plus the newer truck, so we've got kind of our own backup. Haven't used it in a couple of years, so I took that right out. Field work, that's mainly like reseeding. I had the guys come in once, landscaping company come in, and anybody that plays soccer out there or anything knows that there's these, I call them undulations. They're these waves in the field, and every place there's a wave in the field is where we have a tile going down the length of the field, the drainage tile going down through there, and they settle. They will settle after a while. It's been 6 or 7 years since I did it last. I haven't really heard a lot of complaints, but I can tell when I'm out there mowing. I can feel it on the mower. I know the kids have got to feel it when they're running. So within the next couple of years, we're going to have to do that again, probably. They just bring it back up to grade and reseed it, and it's good for another 6 or 7 years. But I don't plan on doing that next year, so that's why it's just $1,000. That's just for overseeding and stuff that we do. Maintenance contractual, and $20,000 in there. Again, that's for the stuff, some of the stuff that we have to contract out. Our contract for our elevators is for inspections only. If we have to have major maintenance done on them, then that would go toward that. Boiler work, I do like the boiler work myself, so I don't contract out any boiler work.
Would that be inspections, like elevator inspections?
Well, the inspections are up under the other one, up there, the inspections. This is for stuff that actually work that has to be done.
You know, that was what your maintenance contracts are. You get an annual contract that you sign, I think.
We don't have any we don't have any maintenance contracts, we have inspection contracts.
Okay.
We don't have any maintenance contracts per se.